Hello there, everyone. Today we're gonna do this. This is a Green Highlander, but it's a modern version of the Green Highlander. I've added a bit of materials and stuff like that. It's a bit more elaborate than many of the salmon and sea trout patterns I've done otherwise. But this is a fly that I really like. I think the look of the Green Highlander is simply just amazing, and it's one of the flies, that I haven't caught yet. I haven't caught a salmon on this yet, but this is something I really would like to catch a salmon on. Today we're going to use the Pro tube fly system, and basically I take a clear tube from Pro, and then I just heat the tube here a bit to make kind of like a small bump, a small I don't know what you would call that, a small dentation. I melt it down so I'll have something for my hook guard to latch onto, and then I place my tube here on my tube fly needle. This is also a Pro tube fly needle, which is a great tube fly needle. And then I'm gonna take some white thread here. I had a black loaded into my bobbin. And this is a Vivus 13D, no 50D, and it's probably the best thread I ever used. Really is truly great. It's kind of the same as the Future Fly thread, which I used a lot before, but there is more on the spool at the same price here. So it's it's basic simple math. First off, I'm gonna take some seal dubbing in red, as is also what is in the original pattern, like so, to make a small butt on the fly here. So take some red here, and as you can see, I have a bit of tubing sticking out, and that's for my hook gauge, my silicone hook gauge. Then I'm gonna make a tail, and I'm gonna use some Future Fly. I'm gonna use some fluorofibers here. You can get it from Future Fly, but you can also get it from a lot of other different producers, manufacturers. But this has a lot of shine to it, and is fluorescent, and really is a cool product. I'm gonna cut that off, like so. And it's important to get to get this to taper. So I'm gonna cut it so that it tapers. You see that? So I cut it so that it tapers. And this is going to be my tail. So I'm going to tie this down. It's not going to be too large, too long a tail, but something like that will work. So you get a tapered tail, and this is fluorescent yellow. Then we're going to use some ribbing. And here I take a gold in small or X small. I don't want this to be too big or to stand too much out, and this fly is not that big, so the X small is a great option. And I simply just add this to the thread like this, because then I can place it exactly where I want it to be. I'm gonna have it there, so it's gonna face me and be on the side, and it's important where you place it in, because you want to place your hackle close to it as well. Then I'm going to take a hackle, and this is a Metz loose hackle. This is a grizzly chartreuse, but you can also use just chartreuse if you want that. And then I'm going to strip off one of the sides. The side I'm going to strip off is, if you have the hackle, if you have the hackle, then there is a top side and a bottom side. So I point the hackle with the top side pointing towards me, and then I strip the left side off, because when I do that, when I turn the hackle, everything will be exactly where I want it to be, like so. And then I'm going to tie this in where I tied the ribbing. So when I will turn the rib, I will be able to turn the hackle just behind the rib, and you can tie them counterclockwise and stuff like that to make it more secure. But this will give the best aesthetic look on this fly. It will be fairly durable, and I think if this fly will last for one fish, then I am happy. So basically, I cut all that off because I'm going to use dubbing, so it's not that important to have a completely uniform thickness of the body. And then basically I'm going to see how big I want this fly, and I want this about this up here. So I'm going to have some tying thread to actually have the rest of the materials to lay on top of, in order to make sure that they are fastened correctly and that they will stay in place. Then first up, I'm going to use some yellow, some fluorescent yellow seal's fur, and what you want here is you want a body that tapers in order to make this fly looks correctly. So you want some yellow, but not too much, dubbing, because you want this first part to be fairly thin. And then gradually, as you move up towards the other half of this body, you want it to become gradually more thick. That would give the right properties and proportions of this fly, which is kind of what you're striving for in order to make a classic fly like this look as good as possible. Also, you want the part of the yellow dubbing to be slightly shorter than the green part, because now I'm going to use some green seal dubbing to make the rest of the body, in order to give the correct properties and make your fly look good, but also have the right profile out in the water. So here I'm gonna swap to the green one, and as you can see, I'm gonna pile on more dubbing to make this other section of the fly slightly thicker and tapering, so that it's gonna be thicker and thicker up towards the part of the fly where I'm gonna tie down my wing, like so. And simply just add. It's better to add a little dubbing at a time than just to have piled on too much in the beginning. So I'm just going to add small amounts of dubbing in order to be able to control and master exactly how I want this this fly to look, and what kind of profile I want on this. It's a nice pattern. I haven't caught a salmon on the Green Highlander, but it's one of the goals, as I said earlier. The Green Highlander is just such a lovely, completely lovely pattern, and I really would like to catch a salmon on one of these. And as you can see, it tapers, so it's thin down here, and then gradually becomes more thick further up. Then I'm gonna turn my rib. And when you start on the side, it's important that you end on the side. There is a lot of actual rules about how many turns of rib you should have and stuff like that. But I think it's 5 that is the official correct amount. But I'm just going to have 4 here because 5 is going to look too much on this size. So 4. And as you can, I don't know if you can see, but I ended up exactly at the spot where I started, which means no matter where you look on this fly, I will have 4 turns of the rib. It's not that important, but you know, when we're making flies like this, it's you might as well put some effort into it. Then I'm gonna turn my hackle, and I'm gonna turn it just behind my rib, all the way around, just behind the rib. So the rib will provide some protection for my hackle. I know that if I've tied it in reverse, so the rib up in front and then the hackle, then I would have a fairly stronger fly, but not as good looking a fly, and you know, nothing is good enough for the salmon, so because the salmon is the king, which is also the philosophy behind all those very fancy looking full dressed salmon flies. But this will do for me. So basically, I have the hackle. It's not too dense. It's not too thick because I used only used half of the hackle. Then I'm gonna get my dubbing needle. Where did I put that? Of course, it's all the way over here. Sorry about that. I just want my hackle to be nice and tidy, so I just need my dubbing brush. There we go. Also, this will pull out some of the dubbing, some of the seal's fur, which is nice as well. Like that. And this will make it easier for me to get the wing to be as to be the where I want it to be. And this wing is divided into three different colors. We're gonna have a red, and then a yellow, and then a chartreuse green one. So first, and these three are gonna be on top of one another. So it's important that you build this wing correctly. I'm gonna take a bundle of red hair here, and then I'm gonna pull out all the longest of these fibers, because the red one is gonna be the shortest. Then the yellow is gonna be a bit longer, and then the green one is gonna be the longest. And it's crucial that you do not pile on too much material, because that will simply just make your fly look too bulky and not right. So I'm gonna try to fold to force the hackle here down to the side, so I have an even surface to tie this down, so it will not be standing up too much. And then basically I take a small, that is not as long as the tail here, a small red bundle. I'm gonna tie this down there, and while I use this very strong thread, it's easy to have the materials and to fasten them with not too many turns of the thread, which is a good thing, because that will not give me too big of a head. Like that. Then I'm gonna take the yellow Arctic fox or marble fox. Marble fox is the best, but it's also a bit more expensive. But marble fox really is nice. Again, I'm going to prepare this by pulling out some of these longest fibers here, and then I'm going to pull out all this, the woolly part that we do not want, because that will simply just give us a wing that is clumsy and too thick. And this is going to be slightly longer. Tie that down on top here. Again, now, do not use too many strands of hairs. Like that. That looks fairly decent. And then I'm going to cut these off. Like so. That looks good. And then I'm gonna take my chartreuse marble fox. And here I'm gonna keep more of the longest fibers to have something that really will move erratic out in the water and will give the right tapering of this wing. And makes the wing look more complete and more whole. Again, watch out for how much material you use. you can easily overdress these flies, and the key to tying really nice flies is that you take care, and on many occasions simply use less material than what you originally thought would be needed. I'm gonna tie this down like so. So as you can see, we have the short red one, the longer yellow one, and then the even longer chartreuse one, which will make up the wing and give it the same kind of tapering as the body and the same kind of tapering as the tail. Just gonna look from your side. Yeah, that looks very nice. Ah, god damn it. That was a perfect wing, but it wasn't. I had not attached enough force to the tying thread yet, so I'm gonna place it again. That was annoying because it was so nice. I think that looks good as well. There we are. Like that. So we have the yellow, the green, and the red one. Then I apply some pressure. Like that. Cutting off the chartreuse part of the wing. Again, make sure you cut as close to as possible, and that you have fastened this correctly. You can use some glue or some varnish to make sure, but I trust my tying thread for this. Like so. Then I'm gonna add something that is not on the original pattern. I'm gonna add some guinea fowl in chartreuse, simply because these guinea fowl hackles look just awesome, and I want this to have a bit more of a bit more hackle that stands a bit more out. So I'm gonna pick out a guinea fowl feather. How about that one? This one looks pretty good. And this is gonna be a longer hackle than the finishing yellow one. So it's not going to be a spay hackle per se, but it's going to have kind of a little of the effect of a spay hackle. So I hold my feathers back and tie this so the side the upper side of the hackle is pointing towards me, like so. I'm gonna cut that off. Ah. Don't you just hate when that happens? I'm gonna tie this down again. Like so. Then I'm gonna turn it. And this is gonna add some contrast and a nice feel, a nice look to the fly here. I'm not gonna do too much of this, because too much of a good thing is, well, too much. Like that. Also, these feathers have a tendency to have a fairly thick hackle stem, so they can easily make your head part of the fly a bit too bulky. I'm gonna cut off that. Fold everything backwards, like so. Tie on top of that. And as you can see, this really gives a nice look to the fly and adds some contrast here. Looks awesome. Then I'm gonna add some wing and flash, which is a very lively and easy to use, kind of like angel hair, but only maybe even more lively in the water. Just a few strands. I'm going to add those to the top of the wing here to give a bit of sparkle. Like so. I'm going to do that in gold. Like that. Cut off the ends of this. So you get a bit of shine, a bit of sparkle, a bit of twinkle in the wing. And then I'm going to do the second hackle. And the second hackle is going to be yellow. Because that's, well, basically the color that it is on the original pattern. I just need to find a feather that suits my needs here. I have some of these matched loose hackles, and these are quite nice. You get a lot of feathers for your money, but you have to sort through them and find the correct one. So here was one I was pleased with. I'm gonna tie this here. Again, I tied in the tip exactly like I did with the Guinea fowl, like so. Fold everything backwards before I turn it. And this is not going to be as long as the Guinea fowl. Like that. You could have taken off one of the sides here. I kept it. I kept both sides, and I simply just do not make as many turns. Like that. Cut it off. Really looks awesome. And the tapering of this fly is, I would say, pretty cool. Pretty damn close to perfect.